Hi, this is Kevin Moffat with another Manna Nugget, and hoping that these are blessing you. And I would ask you to consider going to right underneath the video there on YouTube page, clicking on subscribe. It's a big red button, and that'll give you a heads up every time I release a new one onto YouTube. And also give me a thumbs up if you would, if you're on it, really like it. Give me a thumbs up. If it blesses you, see what you can do about blessing what I'm doing. So please check out my new website. I'm not sure what date we are on right now, but mannaart.com, MANNAART.com. Has all kinds of art on it in many different ways, many different fashions. And the creative response has been big in me, so I've tried to control how many hats I'm wearing. It's a little difficult in this day and age. And so Manna Art is all the prophetic stuff, which like what's rolling here, if I can get my finger to point to it, that's a lot of the prophetic art, and there's many, many, many more on the website. Some originals are available, and there'll be several different sizes and types of print available, depending on what you can handle. And they're, I'm sorry, but the prints have to be high end. And just not doing anything. You won't find any low-end products on this website. This is for the kingdom, and you need to consider that. It needs to be extremely well done when it's for the kingdom. I don't think Bezalel did anything halfway. I said something else. So you can also see Manna silks, or there's a link through that on the website, and those are something I do commercially. I have 50 stores in New England. I have a couple of reps in New England. I'm looking to get much broader with that because I'm also looking to invade the commercial with that product and the t-shirt product. These are high-end commercial items. Looking to get his presence out there. And I just love watching when somebody gets a scarf on and I go, ooh, what is that? Because the anointing is coming off my hands. And then there are Kevin Moffat art, which is the acrylic paintings behind me. Let me get out of the way a little bit so you can see some of that and go this way. And I have a lot of fun doing these things. That one in particular is very large. A lot of them are, I just like working large. So consider that. There's many paintings there for that. And manatees, which I also mentioned very quickly, is I took several of the paintings which were oriented to be on t-shirts, and it's the whole shirt. It's not just a square on the front of the back. You have to consider that the shirt is painted, the fabric is printed, and I've had a revelation of this even before I was in the kingdom, of what could be done with this, because I'm a printmaker by heart. And I understood through silkscreen what you can do with these things. And I worked in fine art reproductions in New York City for a while, doing high-end painting reproductions. So I understand the media and what can happen with it. So when we do things that are kingdom oriented, we have to do them in excellence. And this is what these things are after. When I put something out, it has to be in excellence. So, these are the things that are about the king. You don't put things out that aren't good enough. Okay. So I also have Kingdom Creativity Schools, these are snippets from what I'm doing with the Manna Nuggets as well. I love to come out and teach and help people develop their creative avenues. And I'm not concerned if you're just an artist or music or poetry or, just life in general. You need creative avenues. It doesn't matter what your job title is. You function creatively. And we need to be about the business of learning how to do that, listening to the kingdom, listening to God's voice, and moving out on whatever that is. So I'm about the business of teaching about that, and I'm happy to do Zoom meetings, whatever that might be. And so you can get in touch with me about that. So right now you're also listening to watching a YouTube video, which is Manna Nuggets. So if you would subscribe to that, put that button there, give me a thumbs up too. That would be really, really good and get me out there more. There is also a website called patreon.com and / Kevin Moffett, or do a search for Kevin Moffett. And this will has avenues of being able to help fund the ministry, the different things that I do. Patreon is about helping creatives get funded. Like during the time of the Renaissance, the people that had money knew they had to invest in the arts. Consider that. That's what a patron does. So it gives you different ways of doing it. And so I would appreciate if you could take the time to investigate that. And then there's another website that I'm a part of, and it's called prophetics.com. It's prophetics with an S. propheticsgallery.com. And there's hundreds of prophetic artists from all over the world on there. Debbie's done such an excellent job of getting that out. And these are, as well as, what's on my site, these are the things that are on God's heart to create an atmosphere in your inner temple and also in your house where he'll be comfortable. That's what the original intent of the temple was with Bezalel and Moses and all. What was on God's heart, so he could dwell here with us on the planet. This is the only way he was going to feel comfortable. Okay, with these things. So you're getting my point. Okay, so we need to be about the business of doing those things. So he has an atmosphere for his dwelling place. So I'm talking about creativity and inspiration and what happens when that goes on. And consider what happens when the Lord of Heaven comes into your space. Zing. How do you react when there's an emphatic word from the Lord that breaks open over you? Are you not inspired? Doesn't it cause you to like, ooh, what can I do with that? How do I respond to that? So a little bit of my story. About 30 years ago, I had just gotten out of a rehab because I was a mess. And it was a late February night, and I was screaming at God, somebody I didn't have a relationship with, but I was screaming at him. And walking down a mountain road in Vermont, and it was deep, dark, and cold. And I was walking to my apartment, which was far enough away, but when I was walking and screaming at him, there was this, in an instant moment, where I became suddenly aware that there was something different. I was aghast, kind of thing. And all the stars, which were many, when you're in Vermont, you can see them, all of a sudden were like in my face. It was all like everything was close. His presence, which I hadn't known really before. There's another little issue there, but another story. It was like all of a sudden everything around me hushed, and I heard, verbally, audibly heard, I'm right here. Everything in me changed in that moment. Everything in me changed. So I'm trying to deal with this. I finally was able to start walking again because it was really cold, but I wasn't really feeling the cold. But I'm walking home and I'm like, my heart is just like blown away. Everything in me was like, whoa, 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 what's going on? Because I was sensing things were shifting and moving and you know, and I kind of knew I was crying through this. And when I finally got to the condo, I, I I just had to go to the mirror to see, you know, because I knew, you know, something was going on. And apparently, I'd been crying so hard, my beard was much longer at that time. I'd been crying so hard that icicles had formed hanging off of my beard. I mean, there was a lot, and they were long icicles. And I'm like, ooh, 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 you know. And when I could gather myself enough, I tried to call one of my friends, and these were, you know, I'm trying to behave myself because I was new in AA program, and I was like trying to stay there. You know, I knew it was important for me to stay within that framework. And I was like, you know, trying to talk to them and tell them something had just happened, something had gone on. And they were thinking, oh, he's drunk again. Yep. Yeah, I think he's drunk again. You know, so I got off the phone after I was able to gush out a few things about what was happening and the condition of my face and beard and all that kind of stuff. And I had an impact. And they hadn't had that impact. They got it later, you know, but they couldn't comprehend what was going on. And that's cool, but I was on fire with that for years. The impact is still really not, 30 years later, has not left me. As soon as I start telling that story, it's all right there again. And it caused so many things to be different within me. It, I, no words, no words. But it so infused my creative being that I had to find avenues of getting it out. And it took several years for me to get my eye and hand back together again. You know, I'd always known, I've been aware of a creative ability to, you know, specifically in art. But I'd gotten so far away from it that I needed to find it again, you know, how to respond there again. But I was also went through several years of the school of learning how to listen. And it was really incredible. You know, I mean, there were times when my now wife would come home, uh, and I'd be it's like maybe 2 years later. I'd be in the studio. I had a little studio with an easel, and I'd be working hard on a graphite piece, which is just pencil dust, trying to do something, you know, and developing my eye and hand. And the TV was going, the stereo was going. I mean, there was all kinds of noise going on, and I wasn't really aware of it. I was so focused on what I was trying to do at the easel that, and she would walk in and was like, kind of scream at me, like, "What are you doing?" I mean, it was really loud. And what I hadn't realized was he was teaching me how to listen, even in the midst of all the calamity going on around me, because my best place of response, if you will, is at an easel at a conference during worship, standing in my sandbox, which is another story, uh, which is my prayer closet at the easel. I needed to learn how to be at a conference with all kinds of things going on, and uh, being so focused on what I'm hearing from him and responding to that on the easel, on whatever the painting was, whatever the response is on that board. I needed, to learn how to do that, and he helped me do that for several years before. It wasn't until 95, 96, 95 that I first painted publicly. And that was another whole hearing change break off of people and stuff. So I hope, that gives you a little blessing there, a little understanding. When Jesus, the Word, shows up, things happen. God spoke the Word. That's in Genesis 1:3. Let there be light. And there was light. Is this not inspired? You do understand there wasn't anything. Everything was void. Out of nothing, he creates. I'm working on that. But out of nothing, he creates. What that speaks to me is that when the light was released in the darkness, color became present also. God speaking suggests sound. Sound is vibration. We all know that. Vibration translates into both light and color. Any one of these, sound, vibration, color, does not exist without the other. Not in anything that we know. In color theory, one of the things that is taught is that where there is no light, there is no color. If these things don't exist, then therefore objects don't exist. So in a sense, you can say a chair is there, and if the chair's there, but if there isn't any light on it, you really can't see the chair there. You're going to trip over it, but until the light is on it, you don't get the full revelation of the chair. It would seem that God really enjoys causing things to exist. He loves creating. He has released a light so we won't stumble in the darkness. Before my personal encounter with the Word, I was walking in darkness. He has released light into my very being so that I would not stumble anymore. Can't say I'm perfect at it every minute. That I might have life. I have sound. I have vibration. I have color. I have life. I have his life. There are people that have a particular condition. I believe it's called synesthesia. It's becoming more commonly known, where the individual has the ability to see colors of sounds that are being produced. This line of thinking causes me to get very jazzed, very excited. If the Word, his very Word, is the source of all creation being released, then I would think that I would want to be so saturated by it that it would just pours out of me without even being squeezed. Although he can squeeze me anytime. To create an atmosphere for his presence, an atmosphere where the Lord would be comfortable. Isn't this the purpose of true worship? Yes, worship causes us to ascend. It moves us to let go of our circumstances, renews our minds, and refreshes our hearts. But these are the products of our worship of him, We worship and we have an expression of him in our midst. We worship and we are inspired by him. The boys on the road to Emmaus with him, the anointing, Jesus, his inspiration was released in them, and they went to the 12 and brought them encouragement. It's in Luke 24, 9 through 36. Did not our hearts burn? When we're in the presence, it is a natural occurrence for us to cause to be walking in the light and releasing color. We have been given that place of the releasing of light, sound, and color. This used to belong to somebody else. And he's jealous for us being in that place. This is why we quite often have to fight very hard for it. Be aware. Keep your eyes on Jesus. So back to this knowing color as sound at the same moment kind of thing. There are times when I paint during worship with particular people, especially my dear friend Ruth Bazell. I know I don't have to even pass a thought about it. There are times when she's hitting a note and I'm painting the color of that note. Do not be confused. It doesn't mean that that note, every time that it's played, is the same color. It is the color that is on, it is the color of that note at the moment that he wants it heard as. It is always interchangeable depending on what's on his heart at that moment. Be aware of that. Don't have to think about it. You just need to be responsive to it. When you're fully responding to his heart at the moment that you're in your point of ministry, whatever how that operates, whether you're responding, whatever creative atmosphere that you're responding in. I'm not concerned about what the color chart is, and that's all good and fine, but it's what it means at that moment. There's interpretations of colors for dreams and things, which is all good. It's all important. But in this circumstance, in this case, what he's saying the color means at the moment is what's important. Okay? We just need to, our hearts are burning with it. We need to respond. We need to run to the 12 and encourage them. This is the encouragement. This is what we operate for, is that I stand in that place so his heart is released in and through me to encourage others that are viewing what I'm doing. It must speak volumes at the moment it's being released. I don't need to be concerned about that. I need to be concerned that I'm actually allowing myself to be in that place of being the funnel for that. So I hope that blesses you. That's another Manna Nugget. Please go to mannaart.com and also check out Manna Silks and the acrylic flow paintings and Manna Teas, if you will. And consider doing Kingdom Creativity Schools. I love doing groups. It would be really, really good because I get impacted and just release it on you. And subscribe to my YouTube channel, and go to patreon.com and see what you can do to help. That would be great. And propheticsgallery.com. Those are so many different avenues you can go down. Please consider one or all. So bless you big, and I hope I see you next time.